Good afternoon. I'm Brandon Short, and it's a pleasure to spend some time with you today. Civics learning is extremely important, and it's critical that we continue to promote it, foster it, and live it out in our everyday lives. A tremendous amount of work went into planning this week's events, and I wanted to thank iCivics, the National Archives, and everyone involved with organizing Civics Learning Week. I also wanted to thank all of you, everyone in attendance, and tuning in online for your commitment to civics engagement and for dedicating your time, talents, and treasure to making a positive impact on your communities. First, I want to tell you a little bit more about my background and how it helped shape my passion for civic engagement. I grew up in a housing project in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. My mother passed away when I was just 2 years old, and my father was in and out of trouble, so I was raised by my grandmother. I grew up poor in a tough neighborhood where drugs, gangs, and violence were a part of everyday life. The only way I saw to make it out of my environment was to get a football scholarship. So I worked my tail off and got a scholarship to Penn State. I went on to be an All-American and a two-time captain at Penn State. I had a 7-year career in NFL with the Giants and Panthers. After my NFL career, I went back to school and received an MBA from Columbia Business School. Then I began a career in finance where I worked at Goldman Sachs. I've lived in Dubai, I've lived in London, and now I'm in private equity here in the US, and I'm a member of Penn State's Board of Trustees. I've been truly blessed to have had a lot of success in both sports and business, and I'm humbled to say that I've lived the American dream. When most people talk about the American dream, they refer to the extraordinary traits of the individual, the hard work, discipline, and perseverance. And while it's true that drive and determination are keys to success, we often forget about why we call it the American dream and why a story like mine is only possible in America. It's our system. It's our laws, our government. It's the infrastructure that we all benefit from every day that most of us take for granted. For example, in an effort to desegregate elementary schools in my area, I got bused to a much better school than was in my neighborhood. In the summers, I had access to public parks, which gave me a place to go and kept me out of trouble. And the lunch they offered was often the only meal I had that day. In high school, I had math tutors that were sourced from local colleges and were subsidized by the county. I had a tremendous amount of support and access to better education, public parks, tutors, and more. And no matter how hard I would have worked, I would not have been able to achieve my dream if I had not had that support. Which is why I am such a strong advocate for civic engagement. We all benefit from living in an advanced society, and we all have a responsibility to give back. While our system is outstanding, it's also very fragile. And if we don't foster it, engage in it, it could go away, which is why civic learning is so important. In 2021, I suffered a terrible tragedy. I lost my daughter, Carly Short, and her unborn child to a senseless act of gun violence. The pain that my family and I are experiencing is overwhelming. When it first happened, I felt anger, sadness, but above all, I felt helpless. I've recently returned to the United States after living abroad for over 10 years, 4 years in Dubai and 6 years in London. And sometimes from afar, you can see things more clearly. While our country is divided and we have many faults, and the way that we handle guns is a big one, living abroad has made me love America even more. America is still viewed as a beacon of hope and opportunity for the rest of the world. In America, we have upward mobility like no other country. For example, if you live in Dubai and you work and you shine shoes at the Dubai International Financial Center, most likely you'll be shining shoes for the rest of your life. There's no way to earn a scholarship. You can't get a loan for an education or to start a business. There's no infrastructure in there to give people opportunity. However, if you shine shoes at the World Financial Center in New York City, you can become chairman or chairwoman of General Electric. And deep down inside, every American knows that this is possible. And that's the American dream. A big part of upward mobility in the US is driven by education and offering scholarships to students to attend universities. Education that provides people with opportunities to lift themselves up beyond their current circumstances. Earlier, I mentioned when I first lost my daughter, Carly, I felt helpless. Then a good friend comforted me, and it reminded me that I was not. He reminded me that I have the power to make a difference and that we all have the power to make a difference if we just take action and believe. So as I search for ways to support families who are affected by gun violence, I could think of no better way to honor my daughter's memory than to support students and help them achieve the American dream by helping them to get an education. So my family and I created the Carly Short Better Tomorrow Foundation, whose mission is to provide financial support and mentorship for college students grappling with the fallout from gun violence. I share my experience with you in hopes that I can remind all of you that you are not helpless. If you see an issue or a problem, you have the power to make an impact. No single person can make it on their own. We're supported by families, friends, mentors. We all benefit from the roads, the schools, the police departments, the fire departments, the laws that allow us to live in a safe and free society. We're all products of our environment and citizens of this great country, and we have a responsibility to give back and work to improve our communities and leave it in better condition for future generations. One of the best football coaches of all time once told me that you either get better or you get worse, but you don't stay the same. So when you identify areas in your communities and take action to change them, it's not because you believe we live in a terrible country. In fact, it's just the opposite. We live in a country where we have the freedom to mobilize, to raise our voices, to leverage our gifts and tools to make a positive impact. It is not only our right, but it's also our responsibility. So if you're an athlete, an entertainer, business leader, teacher, leverage your gift, the tremendous platform that you've been given, and encourage others to take action to make a positive impact. And while it's extremely important that influencers leverage their platform, real change only happens when everyday people take action and get civically engaged. So I ask you, go volunteer, pay attention to legislation, write your school board or member of Congress, organize with others, and collectively speak out on key issues. And together, we can improve our community, leave it in better conditions for our family, children, and for future generations. Thank you.